Alright, so the I can statement that we are talking about in this video is the statement I can find slope from a graph, two given points, a given linear equation, and a table of values. Right? So I can find slope from, and then we're going to go through these four different ways that we can find slope. So this first one was finding slope from a graph. So if you have a graph and you're told to find slope, good thing to do first would be to look at it and decide whether the slope is positive, negative, zero, or undefined. Alright, so you can think about slope tube, puff, puff, positive, nice, negative, zero, fun, undefined. Alright, we look at this line, we're going downhill, so that's a nice negative. So our slope, we'll use m as our variable for slope, is negative. So I got that right away, that's out of the way. Now I just need to find that number value. So what you're going to do is you need to find 2 points on this line. And the 2 points that you want to find are points that go through a corner of a square. Okay? Because then it actually has like a whole number value. So if we look at this point here, our y-intercept for this line, it goes right through that 1. Okay? So that's a point we should probably look at. And then we need to find one more that goes right through a corner, and looking at this, trying to see what, it looks like this one it can get kind of tricky if the line's really thick. But I actually think it goes through here. Yeah, I'd say it goes through right there. And that's also our x-intercept. Okay, so we found 2 points, and we're going to find the rise and the run, right? Because slope is rise over run. Alright, so our rise, to find our rise, I always say to start at the leftmost point. Okay, so we're going to start at this point. Rise is how many we go up or down. So we go down 2 and then over 1, 2, 3. Okay, so our rise, if it's down 2, that means it's minus 2. And then our run is over 3. So our slope is negative 2 over 3, negative 2/3. That's it. That's how you find slope from a graph. Now we'll talk about finding slope from 2 points. Alright, so given our 2 points, remember to find slope. Slope is our change in y, okay, so that's the delta, over change in x. So delta means change. And this delta it's just a triangle. I'm a sloppy writer, so it kind of looks funny, but that means change in y over change in x. So if you have 2 points, x1, y1, and then your other point is not y, x value goes first. So x2, y2. Okay, so your slope is the change in the y's. So you do y2 minus y1 over the change in your x's. x2 minus x1. Alright, x is always on bottom, y is always on top. And if you're going to do your y2 first, you have to do your x2 first. You can't do y2 minus y1 and then x1 minus x2. That's not going to work. You have to pick a point to start with. And we're starting with this point when we're finding our change or our difference. So now looking at this point, we'll do our change in y first. So I'll do this point first. So I'll do 8. And then there's my other y value, minus 4 over, now my x's, 2 minus negative 3, well that's just plus 3. And then I solve 8 minus 4 is 4, 2 plus 3 is 5, I can't reduce this, so my slope, okay, I use m again, my slope is 4 over 5. So my rise is 4, my run is 5. And yeah, that's a positive slope. Alright, so that's how you find your slope from 2 points. Alright, now we're going to look at finding, finding slope given a linear equation. So the easiest way to find your slope from a given linear equation is just to write your linear equation in slope-intercept form. All right, so slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope. Okay, so whatever number we get in front of x is our slope. So we just need to solve this for y. So to do that, we have 3x minus 5y equals 10. We want the y by itself, so we need to get rid of this whole thing, put it to the other side, so we subtract 3x. And we're left with minus 5y equals, put the x values first, right, because we have that in our slope-intercept form. 10, right, because this is a positive 10, so we're adding the 10. Now, still trying to get y by itself, so we need to divide by negative 5 for those to cancel. We have to divide this entire side by negative 5, right? You have to do these operations to the entire side. So as negative 5's cancel, and we get y equals, all right, doing this here, what we're doing is we're going to do negative 3x divided by negative 5, and then we'll do positive 10 divided by negative 5. We have to divide by negative 5 for both of these things. All right, so negative 3x divided by negative 5. Okay, we have a negative divided by a negative, so we get positive 3/5 times x. Okay, and then we have a positive 10 divided by negative 5. Okay, our answer is positive divided by negative, so we'll get a negative 10 divided by 5 is 2, so it's minus 2. So then my slope, number in front of the x, my slope would be the 3/5. All right, last one we talked about, I don't know, there we go. All right, finding your slope from a table of values. So when we talked about this in videos, we talked about it as rate of change. All right, so what you do is you look at, okay, so if you look at a table of values, we talked about graphing with the table of values. Each of these values is a point, right? So points on our line would be, see, our values we got 1 and 2, so the point 1, 2, 2 and 5, so the point 2, 5, that's a point on our line, the point 3, 8, and the point 4, 11. So these are all points on our line. So instead of writing these out as points, we don't have to do that. We can just find our change in y, right? Okay, so slope again is a change in y over change in x. So what we can do is we can pick two rows to look at. So let's look at row 1 and row 2. We can find our change in y by figuring out, okay, how do we get from 2 to 5? Right, we add 3. And to get from 1 to 2, we add 1. So our change in y is 3. Our change in x is 1. That's 3. So our slope is 3. Right? And if you want to double check that, you can always just take your table values, pick 2 points. So if we pick our 2 points, 1, 2, and 2, 5, we can think back to how we find slope from 2 points, and we do our change in y, so 5 minus 2 over our change in x, 2 minus 1. 5 minus 2 is 3, 2 minus 1 is 1. Got the same thing, our slope is 3. All right, so those are the 4 ways that we should be able to find our slope.